Let's go live to Jason Clare, the Education Minister. You can see him there with various state counterparts. They've been meeting on childcare reforms, improving safety in the sector.
I think we all know while we're here, Australians have been shocked and sickened by the revelations over the last few weeks and months. All Australians have been shocked and sickened. And there's a group of Australians who are just as shocked, just as angry, just as broken as every other Australian, and that's the incredible people who work in our early education and care system. Hundreds of thousands of them who love our kids, who care for our kids, who educate them, who dedicate their life to this, one of the most important jobs in the world. And front and centre, before we talk about the reforms that we've agreed to today, I want to talk to them. I want them to know that we see you, that we hear you, that we thank you for the work that you do for us. I'm one of that more than million Aussie mums and dads who rely upon you each and every day. And we know in discussing today all of the things that we need to do to keep our kids safe in early education and care, you're the most important part of that. You're the best asset that we've got here. And thank you for everything that you do for us and for our kids. We also know this, and I've been pretty blunt about it over the course of the last few weeks. We've made some changes to keep our kids safe, but not enough and not fast enough. And that's obvious. And we've all got to step up here if we're serious about keeping our kids safe. That means the Australian government stepping up, it means states and territories stepping up, it means regulators stepping up, and it means the people who run our centres stepping up as well. Doing the work that is necessary to rebuild confidence for mums and dads in a system that they need to have confidence in. And that's what the discussion today, the decisions that we made today are fundamentally all about. We've already taken action. We've passed legislation through the federal parliament a couple of weeks ago to give us the power to cut off funding to centres that aren't up to scratch, that aren't meeting the safety standards that parents expect and that our kids deserve. That legislation's passed and we're now using it. Over the course of the last 48 hours, we've published the names of 37 centres that have been sent notices indicating that unless they meet those standards, they risk having their funding cut off. Without that funding, they can't operate. But I think most parents would accept the argument that if taxpayers' money is going to be invested to operate an early education and care centre, then we expect them to meet those standards and keep our kids safe. Fundamentally, that is what that legislation is all about. 37 centres on notice already. There's more to come. The decisions that we took today are the next step, the next things that we need to do to help keep our children safe in early education and care. And we've agreed today to establish a national educator register, national mandatory child safety training for all workers in our early education and care centres, a national assessment of CCTV in up to 300 centres across the country, a banning of mobile phones in our centres with proactive enforcement of that by states and territories, more information for mums and dads so they know the conditions of the centres that their children are attending, and more enforcement as well. More work by our regulators, more work by my Federal Department of Education going into centres with unannounced visits. On the national register, work on that will begin immediately. That will be developed from scratch by a CEQA. It will require changes to the national law, it will require legislation, and we will pilot that, we will trial that in December of this year with it rolling out from February of next year. On the training, and I gave a shout out at the start to the people who work in our centres. This training, the work on it will start immediately. It will be developed by the Australian Centre for Child Protection and will roll out from next year. We are very conscious in everything that we do here that training people who work in our centres to be able to spot a person who might be hiding in plain sight up to bad things, trying not just to groom our kids but to groom them, could be the most crucial and important thing that we do here to help keep our kids safe. The trial of CCTV will roll out from October or November of this year and will involve funding from the Commonwealth as part of the $189 million of extra investment by the Commonwealth to support the installation of that for small and medium operators, in particular not-for-profit operators as well. The banning of mobile phones rolling out from September of this year as well, with active enforcement by state and territory regulators, and an extra 1,600 spot visits by the Federal Department of Education, principally to focus on fraud, but with the ability to identify where there are safety concerns in different centres and to provide that feedback back to state regulators to keep our kids safe. Is it everything that we need to do? No, of course it's not. But it's the next thing that we must do and that we've agreed to do today. And I really want to thank all of my state and territory colleagues. It's not just $189 million of extra Australian government funding. It's more than $130 million of extra state and territory funding here as well. This is a team effort. Australia expects all of us to work together. They're not interested in excuses. They expect Labor and Liberal, state, territory, federal, all to work together. The private sector, the for-profits, the not-for-profits, they don't give a damn about the difference or the breakdown or who's responsible for what. They just want their kids to be safe. And I hope that you see in the decisions that we made today that we're serious about that as well. We're serious about making sure that the paramount, the most important thing in our early education and care system is making sure that our kids are safe. This is not the end, but it's the next thing that we need to do. The awful truth is that this work will never end because there will always be bad people who try to poke holes in the system, find vulnerabilities. They focus not just on vulnerable kids, but on a vulnerable system. And there are vulnerabilities in the system. The work we have done today is about trying to strengthen that system to keep our kids safe. And I thank again my state and territory colleagues for the work that we've done together today. I think the work that we've done is going to make a real meaningful difference. I'll hand over to Jess and then invite my colleagues to make a few remarks.
Thanks very much, Jason. Well, parents across the country expected their education ministers from across the Commonwealth to come together and unite today around a strong plan, and that is exactly what we have done. We have joined together and stood shoulder to shoulder to make sure we can keep our children safe in early childhood education and care. We've agreed on, by working together, the strongest and most significant package of child safety reforms in our nation's history. Some of the big items in that package are the first nationwide register of early childhood educators ever. Mandatory child safety training for everyone who works in early childhood education and care. That is going to be really important in driving child-safe cultures in early childhood education. And we also think that parents have a right to know what's going on in their early learning settings. So we're working together to provide parents with more information immediately about breaches in their services and the standards in their services. Again, this has been a really horrific time for Australia's children and for parents. What they want from us is to work together, and that is exactly what we have done. Together, the Commonwealth, the states and the territories are working shoulder to shoulder on a big, strong, significant package of reforms that will help keep our children safe. We've been hosted today by our New South Wales colleagues, and I'll turn now to Minister Courtney Houssos for some comments.
Thanks very much, Jess. Thank you so much, Jason and Jess, for bringing us.
We will go back to that news conference when the Federal Minister starts taking some questions, but big reforms there, and including that greater security camera vision, better training and more scrutiny. But as the Minister said there, this unfortunately is going to be a reform process that has no end date. It will continue to ensure the nation's kids are safe.